How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another show. Today, we talk about the show that I did last week here in the stream. Welcome. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Monday live stream. My name is Guillaume. If it's your first time here, hi, welcome to the channel. The streams that I'm doing, these streams are about live sound engineering, console, stage box, microphone, anything that I can put my hands on that I believe will be interesting for you to watch me talk about it, or actually not me, but to hear some stuff about anything that has to do with the world of live sound. Deconstruct, sometimes making sense. You get the idea. Welcome, everybody. First, let me say hi to Mario. Good to see you, man. Good to have you back on the channel. Who else do we have in the chat? Don't be afraid to say hi. I love to hear from you guys. Just make me sure that we have a good connection on YouTube. All right, do we have some people over on Twitch? Let's see how things are going on Twitch. We're live over there. Good to see you guys. Rolf, good to see you. Music track, hello from Malaysia. Ooh, Malaysia. It's far from my place. I'm in Montreal, Canada, if you guys are interested about that. I'm a French Canadian. I'm not going to go over the French French-Canadian debate and everything, but just know that my first language is not English, so if I don't make sense sometime, just be aware it's because I've learned over the year to speak the language of Shakespeare. I'm doing well, Max. Thank you for asking. Let me see if we have a pop-up on the chat working. Yes, we do. I changed my whole setup, so my streaming setup is all over the place. Ooh, far from home. Rolf, hi, good to see you. No, that's my Mario. Hi. Welcome back, guys. Okay, I need to apologize for you, or apologize to you. Come on, I'm gonna make sense. I'm a bit rusty because I went out on vacation. I don't know if you guys noticed, but last week I was not here. I forgot to tell you and forgot to do a video or forgot to announce it. I know some people were worried and text me like, are you okay, man? Is there a live stream today? No, it's not. I'm gonna say hi to Dan, who actually we had a long conversation over that. Dan, thank you for asking. I'm okay. Don't worry, guys. I'm okay. I don't know if I should say that I'm tired, but I've spent the whole last week driving around 20, I want to say the number 2500 kilometers from my place here in Montreal. I went to Percé in Gaspésie, a lovely region of Quebec, and the trip back and forth is really far. I drove for basically 2 times 12 hours. 12 hours to go there, 12 hours to come back. We had a good time with the RV and some of my friends. If you have me on Instagram, you probably saw the picture. Those are just some of my friends. There's a lovely lady in there. Bonjour, Sandrine. Yeah, we're just friends. And we went on a trip. We went on a vacation. So because we slept in the RV, probably had a beer or 2 every day. And spend a lot of time. My mind is rested, but my body definitely paid the toll for that. What I mean is I'm a little bit tired, and I came back to do a gig, so drove back, left the Harvey at home, jump into a truck to go do a gig on Saturday, and it was a hard one. Small setup next to the beach, but because we were next to the beach, we would not be able to bring the truck there, so we had to pull cases in the sand, 4 guys per case, and roll it on stage and put everything on stage. And that show is not really built for that kind of setup, so it's fairly heavy stuff that are a couple hundred pounds that we have to lift on stage. So hey Dan, I was talking about you. I'm okay, man, don't worry. Michael, what's up? Good to see you, man. How do you take your coffee? Black as my soul. Maxwell, yes. Hi everybody. Make sure to join in the chat. It is always good to see you guys here. Dan, you finally got your wing rack. Nice. Will you install a fan in it? Because I'm thinking about putting a fan into this console. I'm probably gonna have to DIY something, but I've never been afraid to poke some hole into metals before, so we'll see what's going on with that. But I may DIY a solution for the compact just to get a little bit of airflow. That one is not that bad because I'm usually carrying it around with me. It's not living in a case. But the one that I have on my other gig, the one where I've built the rack on a video recently, it's sitting on top of 2 DL231s, which are getting really hot. So yeah, we'll see. Michael, your church finally got a wing compact for live stream. Good, really good option. You have honestly everything that you can need in there to do, well, any kind of show, but especially I'm gonna say live stream. If you ever end up in a situation where you do professional-ish live stream, you're gonna need just a tiny bit amount of plugins to make that happen and make that to a level that makes sense for streaming. I'm talking about a little bit of compression, a little more compression on everything that you would usually do on a live show. I was about to say live stream, but on a live show, limiter here and there. So the amount of plug-in that you have in the wing is really cool versus, the typical standard console. So really good option there on the compact. It can't do a lot of things, but yeah, definitely. Dan also purchased the extended warranty, so we'll be opening it for another 3 years. No fan replacement. I think the fan is not voiding your warranty. Be aware of that. Hey, San. Hey. I've done the 80 millimeter. I've done a 80 millimeter fan, USB powered in the rack. Fit the cable to the front panel, and it work on a USB port. Okay. Definitely, if you end up with if you want to do that in the rack, you have the option to buy the adapter from Behringer. I don't know how much it's going to be, but I'm probably going to buy one of those adapter and see how things are going in there, or maybe if I can tap myself on the power supply for this one to add a fan. We'll see how things are going. Hello from Paris. 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 Hello, Paris. I actually might visit you soon. I'm gonna throw some stuff in the universe. Gonna go throw some stuff in the universe. I had a call last week asking me if I was able in mid-October. I'm not gonna say more than that, but I was asked if I was available in mid-October to maybe go to France. So we'll see what's going on with that. I'm probably I'm gonna go. Let's say I'm gonna go there with 2 bands. Knock on wood. 3 bands actually. 2 from Canada, 1 from France. Definitely interested to go there. I've never been on the other side of the pond. Hangar 77. Did I say hi? Hi. I have the original rack but I'm thinking of buying the compact also. Keep down the weight. Definitely. I don't know if I updated you guys on that. I used to have a DL 151, the one that I tried to connect to the Hub 4 Pro right there. I exchanged that for a DL32. It's not the best trade that I've done in my whole life, but I wanted to have a really small and compact setup with my wing. The last show that I did, and we're gonna take a look at it in a few minutes. The last show that I did, I only brought that, and I brought a DL32, and everybody was happy, really happy. Way easy to carry it around. So I understand why you want to have a compact like this. Put a stage block on stage. Ciao, bye. Michael, I was wondering, is there a way to use plugin while also being able to use the built-in wing processing without using the effect? There is a way. There is a way to do that, but what you need to do, let me show you. Is this working? Yes. You need to create a routing option where in your routing, you're going to take your source, let's say your AS50A, like I am right now. Maybe I can bring that down just a tiny bit so you guys can see that better. You take your AS50A, which is my stage box in this situation, and you set your preamp level from this page. You send that out to Dante or USB audio, and on your channel you patch the return of that. That's gonna insert ish your plug-in device computer basically before the preamp, or before the channel after the preamp. That's what I meant. Sorry. You're gonna have the signal flow will be basically your preamp going into your computer, back out of your computer into your channel, and then you can create your mix. It will be before the channel strip. There is a way to do it with the user signal to get it after, and there's also a way to do it with the insert effect. That's basically the two options that you have there. So honestly, I don't see a lot of reason to use the wave stuff. I purchased a wave card, which is non-refundable, so I'm eventually gonna get a wave card for this console, and we're gonna experiment with that. But it's, if you're not using the effect, what I mean by the effect is when you go into the effect rack and you go here, you go external, and you insert that into a channel. I'm gonna use a channel here where I have nothing. You can insert here pre or post fader. Let's go here on, and you set that up to be whatever, Dante or USB, and you can change the placement of that effects block to be wherever you want. So if you want it here at the beginning of your chain, you can do that. But other than that, it's complicated and it's more of a workaround than a real use case, because there's not a lot of situation where you want to have preamp go, let's say, into a wave rack, do a bunch of plug-in, and insert that before the gate, before the EQ, and before the compressor of a regular channel. So it's more of a workaround than a way to integrate that. But of course, you can do that. You can use the external effect. You can just take let's say if you want to do some processing on your main out, you can just take your main, send it into your computer, bring it back into or go main out, computer back to the socket output of a console, and use that like an insert. But it's complex routing. Not too complex, you can make it happen, but that's the way to do it. And the two options are basically for you to use either Stage Connect if you want to have physical hardware to go in and out, or use USB and Dante. That's going to be the way to go. Dan, I'll be passing by Montreal next month. Might be able to stop quickly. Oh, it could be fun, man. Let me know. Will be fun to have a coffee. Stéphane, your wife is Canadian. Okay. Bonjour. Oh, okay. Is there any way after, because my sending to bus and bus external effect all the bus are subgroup? Is there, hold on, is there a way after the fader, because currently I'm sending to a bus into external effect? I would need to dive into the reverb, to the routing of the reverb, the routing for that. But if you use everything as a in the bus, well, yes, but that would eat up channel. The way to go, if you want to do it after, you can take a channel, send it with a user signal, so you'll be limited to 24, and bring it back on another channel just as a return and send that into a bus. Basically, you take a channel, like let's say my kick here, I'm not gonna destroy that show, but you take the kick, you don't send it anywhere, you just send it into output user signal, no, source user signal. Let's say this user signal, so my kick post, and close that. So you take your user signal 1, which is going to be your post fader kick, you send that into your wave. So let's say that you're using USB to do that. You can take USB 1 like that. You want your user signal, you're going to take that, and on a different channel you're going to use that, let's say 25 here, and you're going to assign the USB return of that. So let's say that USB return 1 is going to be a mono. It has the wrong name here, but you kind of get the idea. And you're going to send that into your bus. That's the only way right out of the bat that I can think about it. But you will be limited to your 24. You will be limited to your 24 user signal, and you'll pretty much be limited to the 24 channel back. The USB has the option to get more than that, but you cannot take a lot of stuff after the fader, because you'll be using your all your user signal for that. You can also do it with a bus. There's also the same way in the routing section. If you decide to go to source, you go user signal instead of using your kick. You can use not the main, the bus. You could use a bus, let's say bus 9. You can send that post fader, and it's gonna come back on channel 25. And yeah, it's not optimal. It's not optimal, but there's definitely a way to do it. It's just a lot of routing, a lot of complex routing. You just need to figure it out. But yes, there's a way. Because the console can deal with the 386 by 284 input and output, you can do a lot of complex routing. But if you start to eat up channel, yeah. I made it, just woke up from my post-event coma. What did I miss? Hey, Nada, what's up, man? Not much. We're just talking about a different way to insert plugins right now, so didn't miss much. I only said that I should be in a coma right now because I just come back from vacation, did a show. I'm tired. I probably drank way too much. And yeah, that's about it. Let's go here. Question kind of wild. Is there a way to send audio signal from a wing with the wave card to a Wave LV1 Classic if they are talking to each other? Ooh, really interesting question. I don't have the answer for it, but I'm gonna say probably. Probably because you're gonna be on a wave network, which my understanding of wave, which is very little, you can probably send signal out to it and just grabbing it from the wing. Let's say that you want to use your wing on stage, or use a wing rack as your stage box. You can do your own processing in the wing. You can come here in the routing. I have a Dante card, but it would be basically the same thing. Oops, that's input. I'm gonna go output, Dante. You can probably patch whatever you want to send out to Dante in here, and well, Dante, a wave card, and you can probably grab it from an LV1. I've never done it, but I don't see any reason why, because you're talking wave protocol from there on. If not, you can do it with Dante. If the LV1 stuff is taking LV1 Classic, if it's talking Dante, you can do it Dante. You want to do it without Dante? Really interesting question, but maybe. My answer is probably yes. I would need to call a rep to have the answer, but definitely a good question. Really interesting. I may have a chance to work on an LV1 soon and do a demo on LV1. If I can do it, I can probably bring the compact with a wave card and try it. What's up, Charlie? Dan, it took me a while to understand how to use the oscillator on the wing rack. It's different from the X32. You assign them to a channel, where on the X32 you specify where you want to output. Yes, you can also, just to confuse you a little bit more, you can also route it to something. So if your source is the oscillator, you can take that source and you can send it to a lot of places. You can, how do you do that? Pretty sure you can send it to, is it just a source that you can grab from the channel? No, it's impossible. It's impossible. I don't accept that as an answer. Unlock here, can I? Oh, I can't send the oscillator straight to an output. I thought I could. I thought I could send the oscillator straight from basically the oscillator to an output. Let's go local in or local out. Hold on. Did I do something wrong here? Hold on. Oh no, it's there. It's the oscillator. Okay. Let's go local out. Wrong way. Welcome to the wing. My local out, let's say local out 6, I can tap the oscillator in there. And right now I'm sending out the oscillator straight from local 6. Always, it's been 5 years and I'm always confused, or still confused, about the way that the routing work on the wing. When you think you have it together, it somehow doesn't work this way. It's gonna eventually. I might catch up to it. I might have a Midas before that, but eventually I'm gonna catch up to it. What do you do with the Dante? Just received my wing compact, and I'm trying to see if it would be really useful to me. I'm using the Dante right now as a backup for the USB. It's also a great way for me to connect with other system. If I show up in a festival and everything is Dante, I just patch Dante. The main reason that I personally got it was to have Dante in use as a redundant system. Meaning if I go somewhere and I want to do monitor with this console and front of house has anything that talk Dante, I don't have to bring a stage box, or I could use my stage box and send it to the other guy. It's an option. It's just opening up so many possibility, and also it's gonna help me record. It's gonna help me record 64 channel if I want to record for a band. I'm using that as a backup with the SD card here. As you can see, I have a few show here. This one is 130. Oh, I actually need to know which one is which here. I recorded 2 show. Okay, I know which one this is. But yeah, this one is my lovely friend Andy, and I'm not gonna be able to play it to avoid copyright. But I'm using the SD card as a backup. I'm using basically the Dante as a redundant system for recording, and that's about it. With the master. Okay, that's probably about the wave stuff. Okay, all right. Yeah, as long as both are connected to the same network, you can patch channel into the output of your wave card and grab it from the LV1. Works similar to Dante. There you go. You have your answer, man. Oh, interesting. We're gonna read that. Yeah, so the scenario is to take my DL32 IO, run it AS50 to my wing compact, front of house master, and then send out the raw track from FOH to LV1 Classic for broadcast. You can definitely do that. Some of the wave console have Dante option, and you can do wave stuff over Dante too. Last time I went to the Montreal Casino, I did a show where I had all my wave plugin inserted through a Dante card. Ministry will use it to send a longer distance to a room to mix live stream on Studio One. Yeah, definitely a good option to use Dante there. You're not limited to the length of USB. A USB cable can only be 15 feet long or 5 meter ish, 6 meter. More than that is not gonna work. It's just not made to work over more than that. So if you need a longer run of cable, you have a couple options. You can go USB, you can go Dante. And you can go, if you have the money to spend, you can go AS50 to USB. The DN9630, I believe, is the right one. It's AS50 24 channel at 96K and 48 channel at 48K. AS50 over USB, and you can route 9630. Thank you very much. It's the 9630. You can use that to do whatever you want. I wish the SD card slot will let you name shows. Yes, because right now, maybe we can suggest that to Baron Jerk, because right now I don't know what this is. Is there a way to, if I stop it, if I go here, is there a way? No, you can. There we go. You can. It's gonna tell me this one is EMA. I know which one is which, and if I go back, And if I close this, it's gonna tell me the name of the show. Ta-da! Thank you very much. We actually can do that. We don't need to request this. Maxwell, set up my P24 with your chart. Oh, the P24 is working over Stage Connect. This is something that I don't have a lot of experience with, but it's fairly easy to do. All you have to do is go output Stage Connect, and you can select what you want to have in there, and you just basically send out. Hold on, let me do this again. Go from here, routing, output, Stage Connect, and you select what you want to have in there. So if I want to use my local, my AS50, I could just go here and send out my 24 channel, because with this band I have 24 channel. I can send all 24 channels of AS50, but the thing is, we do not have 24 mono channel. It's gonna be stereo stuff, so be careful with that. I like the idea of that P24. I just wish it could be 24 channels instead. Frederick, great work. I'm from Ghana, and I want to find out if there's an opportunity to do an internship with you. No, there is not. Thank you for asking, Frederick, but I don't have the resources to do that. I offer online lessons, which is probably not what you're looking for. I do offer online lessons for anything that has to do with the wing, live sound, overall setup. I've troubleshooted a lot of people over their phone over the years, churches and smaller venue, pretty much everywhere around the world right now. I've done, at least every continent, maybe not Antarctica, but every continent so far. I've worked with people to help them, but no, I cannot. You cannot start to do that. Rob, you're starting to ease it to vacation mode. Lucky you, man. I'm just coming back from vacation, and I'm definitely tired. Or maybe it's just because I turned 38. Don't wish me happy birthday. It's been a while, and it's my birthday's in January. Sunrise Ministries. What do you recommend to compensate for audio latency with video and audio? You have some really good answer in the chat already from Michael. It depends on your streaming software. It's possible with OBS. Yes, I'm using some compensation right now. We use OBS. Okay, what I will tell you, the best way to do it is by doing the clap test, like Michael is suggesting. What you do is you record a small clip of just you snapping your hand like that. That's it. After that, you open up your favorite editing software, and you're gonna look at it. What you want to do is move the cursor to the point where you clap exactly where your hands are clapping perfectly, and you want to take a look at the audio wave in the bottom. You'll see that they will be off by 1 millisecond, 2 millisecond on OBS right now, and you guys can tell me if I'm not okay, if it's not good. I'm having, I believe, 180 milliseconds of delay. Even if I'm using a shotgun mic on the camera, it's barely there. I put my finger on it, so it's really close. It's embedded into the signal, but I'm still using a delay just to compensate for the processing time, because the processing time of the video is taking longer. This is why you would need to This is why you basically need to retime align stuff, because processing audio is fairly fast, where video, frame encoding and make sure that everything line up together and clock and in sync, it's a process, so it's taking a while to do that. Anyone here interested to send audio over internet from the Wing console? I did test Brussels to Beijing, about 80 milliseconds of latency. Rolf, I'm really interested in that. I really want to know how you can do this, because if you can monitor in real time or fast enough, and I think 80 millisecond is fast enough. If I could remote control a Wing from anywhere in the world with a decent sound quality, you can definitely do streaming, and you can definitely do in-ear monitors from a console, because you are not environment dependent. You are, or I should say, you are independent of the environment when mixing those streaming and in-ear monitors, or mostly. Or if you're aware, if like me, you've done it enough, you kind of know, like, you don't need to put that much subs into in-ear monitor if your band is sitting on millions of watt of subs. But I could probably see myself in the future mixing some bands, mixing some stuff at a distance, and it would be amazing if I can do it controlling a Wing over the internet. I would love, and the next step would be to have, your Wing, you take the show file from somebody, drop it in your Wing, and after that you just mirror stuff. And I believe it could be done, because I've done this by mistake, maybe it's fixed right now, but back in the day I was controlling, I put two X32 together with the same IP address, and I was controlling one console with the other. Everything would mirror, because by the time I move a fader, it would refresh and automatically setting up everything. It was basically sending OSC over the network, and I was able to control some stuff with that. So it's a with a mirror. If we could get a mirror option, it would be amazing. I could be at home here, having a video feed with you, listening to the audio, being 80 milliseconds behind. Sure, I'm mixing 80 milliseconds behind all the time. For those of you who don't know, a latency of 80 milliseconds is about the same thing as being 80 feet away from a PA. So, have you guys ever mixed a show 30 meters away from a kit? It's exactly the same thing. And even on a round trip, like double that, 150 foot is far, but it's not unworkable. You cannot play music with that much, but you can definitely mix with that much. Thanks for your input. I will try and see if I can try it or double confirm with the wave rep. I'm pretty sure you can do that, because otherwise, what will be the reason for you to be able to communicate with wave server from a Wing once you have a wave card, but not to another console? I don't see any reason why it would not work. Some other people suggested that it should work, so yeah. Yeah, tell me how you do that, Rolf. Actually, we should schedule a call. I know we've talked about that before, but we should schedule a call together just to get in touch and hear what you have to say about that stuff. From Dan, thank you for all you do. Thank you for being there, man. You have to get back to work. See you in a couple of weeks. Yeah, we'll be fun. Let's grab a copy. Let's go get a Timmy somewhere. Let's go get some Tim Hortons. Some lovely Canadian, not so good coffee, but hey, right now with everything that's going on in the world, it's not so bad to be proud of drinking Tim Horton coffee. Let's not get political. All right, let's take a look at the show that I did last week. I promised you guys that we would take a look at this. So here's my first layer. Here's my second layer. Copy that. And you guys are good to go for a show, right? That's how it's working. I just show you my input. Just copy that and call it a day, right? Is there anything that you guys would like to know? I know I've tried to stay away as much as possible from sound tutorial, just for talking about sound tutorial on the channel. But maybe I feel like I can open up about that. Maybe I can open up about my sound technique, what I'm doing on individual channel strip, and maybe I'm gonna try to have sound example. And I stay away from that as much as possible because I believe it's not the right thing for me to have. Let me get rid of that while we look at the console. It's blinking, it's bugging me. I feel like it's now time for me to open up about that. Not because it's just a matter of I don't care about the copyright anymore. I just need to find a band that is willing to let me use their track. Probably gonna ask my friend Andy if I can use individual track. Vocal will be hard because I don't know many singers that agreed to or would agree for me to use their live vocal performance without copyright, and they're never perfect, they're never happy with them, even if live that was it and it was okay. They're never really happy when you solo that to do a tutorial. So I'm gonna ask around if I can get anybody to like use this. I have a couple friends also that I would like to have in there, and I'm probably gonna try to do some really interesting and different style of music because this is a country band. The Inditerio stuff is a country band, but I have my friend Melina that I have beautiful, amazing track from rehearsal that sounds amazing. I'm gonna try to ask her if I can use tracks of her rehearsal to do some teaching, and I don't want to say teaching, tell you what I would do in that situation. One thing that I don't understand is the wing SIP. All right, you wanna go over that? That's gonna be really easy. It's gonna be a really quick one. SIP over the time is now in audio section. We're gonna talk about the solo mode, basically. I'm gonna go quickly over the first two, live and studio. I believe the live is what you're expecting out of a solo button. You just press on it, it goes to the headphone. Studio, I believe, is like and solo in place, solo in context. On the wing, we have stuff about that, but let's talk about SIP. SIP here is solo in place. Solo in place means when you solo something in your headphone, it's there. Instead of going only to your headphone, it's gonna go to your main out. That's useful when you try to solo something into a sound system, into a PA. When you want to solo the kick into a PA, when you want to solo the kick into a recording session, it's basically the same thing. When you are in the studio, you use solo in place. When you solo, that track's gonna become isolated from the mix, and you're only gonna hear that through your studio monitor. Live, we don't want to do that because I have some horror story people that I know that back on the day on Midas, you have a solo in place, and when you put your headphone on, you solo in place something, it will be that and just that through the PA. I have someone that I know that soloed the bass drum on a huge show, 5,000 people around him, solo in place. Only the bass drum went to the PA, Everybody start to look at him. By the time you realize that, you're a few bar in the song, and you go like, oh, solo in place is on. The mix came back. But dude, do you really want that to happen live? So this is why there's different type of solo in the wing. You have option. You have the live, which is probably what I suggest you to use. Solo, I'm not 100% sure about it. I think it's like solo in place, but it's going to both of the speaker. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on the Studio One, but I know solo in place for sure is gonna send out whatever you're soloing, whatever channel VCA that you're soloing, it's gonna send that out to the PA. This is what solo in place is. I hope that answered your question. Robert, I have very recently used my wing to record multi-track from the 7000 Dante W Rack W Live SD card. It was a breeze. Yeah, definitely can do that. DJ King Vic, what's up, man? When running drums through a mix bus, does it need to be a stereo mix bus in order to still have the instrument run stereo through the house? Yes, you do. Because otherwise, see it this way. To have a stereo signal, you need two distinct pat. You need to have a left and a right. You need to have, let's say, a drum. If you don't want to have everything dead center into both of your speaker, and I think this is the part that confuses a lot of people. If you have everything summed into a single cable, see it like a cable, it can only be mono because everything is put together. If you have two cable, left and right, you can have some information on the left, some information on the right. You can send, of course, your kick and snare. Let's say in the case of drum, you can send your kick and snare into both signal pads. So at the end, it's going to be the same signal coming to both speaker or main out. If you send the same signal to both, it's going to become mono, but it's not going to be forced mono. It's going to be the same signal running to both cable. But if you, let's say, add drum overheads, toms, I like to pan toms, you're going to send signal to both, let's say for a tom, but you might send it louder into one side, louder into the other. Most of the time overhead, I personally run them full spread, so the left is only going to go to the left, or your left. The left is only going to go to the left, and the right is only going to go to the right. And it's going to be different information going on two separate cable. If you have a stereo bus, it will be like running two signal left and right parallel into that bus. So if you want to have a stereo drum, you need to have a left and a right. If you're using a mono bus, it's going to be a mono bus. Everything's going to be mono. You can add a reverb after that to make some stereo stuff, but you need to have separate signal left and right to make something stereo. If you take a stereo bus, you don't pan anything, it's mono. I hope that answered your question. Solo in place is more for DAW workflow mixing. Soloing will mute the other channel, but also keeps your panning. Never use it in a live show unless they want everything also mute. Exactly what I explained. Don't do that. don't ever put your console in solo in place. Especially don't forget to not leave your console solo in place like I do. And this is why we have the little icon here, SIP. It's there as a warning. Don't do that. Please don't do that. All right. So you guys have really interesting question today. I really enjoy doing these. So if you have anything else that you want to add to the table, if you have any other question that you guys want to get an answer from. I'm always saying there is no stupid question. There's only people doing stupid thing because they didn't ask question. You do something, you think you're doing something right. It's not. You're doing something. You should ask a question or ask someone about it. Go. Feel free to answer anything here that has to do with the world of live sound, of course. We don't want to be political or anything. Feel free to ask anything here. Just keep it relevant to the subjects, and I'm gonna do my best to answer those questions. I do not have all the answers to all the question, but most of the time I do. How do you ring out EQ monitor for a pastor? That's a really good question. I don't do church. I've done a few in the past. I'm not a religious person myself, but I have actually no problem to answer any kind of question about, like, you guys want to talk about church mixing? Sure. I know what it is. I've done it. I have no problem about that. We can feel free to believe in whatever you want to believe, and I'm a-okay with that. So if I can help you get you having a better time in the church, sure, I don't care. A pastor, usually, I don't. Okay, let me tell you how I see it. When you're talking about a pastor, it's usually someone that's gonna talk. It's usually someone that is gonna have a headset mic. Sometimes they like to run a lapel mic live, which I despise. My worst enemy is a lapel mic. For live sound, for live events, for conference, you don't want to have that. But how would I approach EQing monitor for a pastor? If you have a lavalier, you're SOL. you're out of luck. If we talk about a headset mic, the answer is I don't know, because I don't know what kind of speaker or what kind of monitor that you are using. And I don't know what kind of microphone, and I don't know how you set your gain on that. Let's say that you set up your gain for a headset mic, because I'm gonna assume here that you have either a headset mic or a podium, because usually a SM58 that you run here next to your mouth, it's really, really hard to make that feedback. But I'm gonna assume that if you're asking this, it's because you have a hard time with feedback. The first thing that I would do is I would take something that I know, something that I know is good sounding, like a reference track, and I will balance the component of the speaker. Meaning, I will take a monitor, I will listen to it with a microphone, my voice, a good old SM58 that I know in and out, or a track. Sometimes it's easier with a track. I will play that at a decent volume, not stupidly loud, but just, a little more than talking loud, or at fairly high level if it's for a band. And I'm gonna adjust the low and highs of that speaker, because a speaker, most of the time, is a 12-inch woofer or a 10-inch or 8-inch with a compression horn driver, 1-inch, 2-inch, or you're gonna be coaxial, but most of you guys probably won't work with coaxial, probably gonna work with it. The classic will be a 12-inch with a 1-inch driver. 12-inch woofer, 1-inch higher frequency driver. The first thing that I would do is balance these two. I'm gonna run some music into both component, and I'm gonna listen. If it has too much sub, I'm gonna put the low cut in the back of that box, because probably most of you guys will have active monitor. Passive monitor is not really a thing of the past in professional rig, but most of you guys today probably use active JBL, QSCs, RCF, Altos, active monitor. So you listen to that. First thing that I'm gonna do is listen for the subwoofer amount of frequency. in that range. I mean everything that is below 100 or 120. If it has too much and it's like sound like a Honda Civic that has a trunk that want to break out, I'm gonna put the low cut switch on that speaker. It probably has one. Most speakers nowadays have a low cut switch, or they have a built-in low cut. Most of the time for vocal, especially for anything on stage, as a monitor, you don't need that much low-end information. Maybe a drummer when he wants to hear the kick, but let's be honest, most of the time, the hardest thing that you want to get through a monitor is vocal. So, low cut. After that, balancing the horn and the lower mid-range, mid-ish 12-inch speaker. The first thing that I'm going to do is balance that out. I'm going to make sure that I have still a lot of mid-range, because you want to get that mid-range to get instrument like guitar, vocal, keyboard, to have power, to have available mid-range for you to listen to them, because the core frequency, the core range of those instruments is all going to be in that mid-range. And I'm going to put the horn usually a little on the dark side. What I mean is, if you put a smart on it and they were totally flat, I would usually put maybe a dB or two lower, or should I do it this way for you guys, on the horn side, on the higher side. Let me grab an EQ just to show you with shelving what I would do, kind of. So the first thing that we said is we're going to use a low cut. And after that, I'm going to use a shelving EQ, and I'm going to try to find, if the manufacturer gave out those information, the crossover frequency for the 12-inch versus the driver, the horn driver. That's the first thing that I'm going to try. If it's too bright across the range, I'm going to use a shelf EQ like I'm doing right now, and I'm going to tone it down a little bit. Crossover point on those kind of monitor is anywhere between 1 to 2, 3K, and I'm going to bring it down. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Then I'm going to listen. If probably most cheap speaker have a frequency that's going to peak out in the higher range. Most of the time it will be, and I'm going to do a smaller EQ for that, let's say 0.3. Don't go to 0.10. That's basically like a single note in the spectrum. Keep it open, and most of the speaker will have a frequency in there that is really bright, that is really poking out. You just want to get some music in there. You want to do the seek and destroy method, which is you're going to listen to it, you got to swipe it out, and without going up, you're going to swipe left and right, and you're going to hear that frequency go like and disappear. You're going to hear it really poking out when you do this. Once you find it, let's say 6.5K in this situation, you're going to drop it down. You're going to drop it down by 3 dB. Is it enough? Yes. Did you kill that monitor? Is it sounding really dead right now? If it does, bring it back in, maybe 1.5 dB, and try to tighten the Q just a little bit. Start with that. Once it sounds good, let's say on the Behringer EQ you have, on the Behringer wing output EQ, you'll have a little bit more bands than this. Now, you're gonna start to listen for feedback. You have this going. Take the microphone that you're gonna use, lavalier, headset, probably more a headset. Make sure that it's set up correctly. Make sure that you did your gain structure. That makes sense. Make sure that the EQ on it kind of makes sense. Try to start it flat or with a little bit of low cut. Maybe on headset, I like the low cut around 160 to 200, depending on if it's, if it's a lady or a gentleman that is talking into it. Try to EQ it for the house first. Don't do any major EQ on it if you don't have any problem with that microphone. If it's something like a Shure Beta 53, which is usually fine mic, or the newer series, I don't remember from the top of my head what the mic that replacing that, but try to make that microphone on the channel strip of the microphone sound the way it should in the room. And after that, let's go dive back into the monitor. You want to start to raise your microphone slowly in that monitor, and you want to listen for frequencies that are going to feedback. When you're talking to it, you just wear it and you're talking to it and you're talking to it. It's even better if you can have the person that's going to wear it, like talking to it, and you look for feedback. You're probably going to end up, I don't know, maybe, because I don't know your speaker. I don't know what kind of speaker you have. You're going to end up with having one feedback to be destroyed maybe in 600 range, 700 range. You may be going to have another frequency that's going to poke out maybe in 2.3, 2K-ish. And maybe you're going to have something in this harmonic, which the lower harmonic, which is around 3-ish. You're gonna have something like that, and you want to do just smaller cut. You want basically to remove one note, one frequency, not a whole range of frequency. You don't want to lower all the mids. You want to lower that frequency. Once you use 3, maybe 4 EQ to remove that feedback, that's about as loud as you're gonna go. Of course, somebody's going to say, well, I can add a 31 band EQ and keep pushing to it and keep, EQing it out, and I'm going to gain 3 more dB out of it. Sure. But most of the time, when you end up and you use 3 EQ, once you got 3 feedback, 4 feedback at most, and we're not talking about the extreme lows or the extreme highs, once you get rid of those 3 feedback, you're pretty much going to be in the zone. The monitor should sound fine by itself because you balance the component to each other. And after that, you destroy the few frequency in that monitor that we're poking out for you to cause problem with that microphone. That's where you're going to go. After that, microphone placement versus the speaker, and just being damn reasonable about it. Headset mic, you're gonna have a limit you're gonna have a point where you cannot get it any louder. It's only gonna feedback at a different frequency. Like I said before, some people would put a 31 band on top of what we just did, and having a feedback at 1.5, cutting it down, having a feedback at 800, cutting it down, having a feedback then poking out at 4K, cutting it down, having a feedback at 160, cutting it down. You're gonna end up to a point where you're gonna have something like you're gonna draw something that's gonna look weird on the 31 band EQ, and you're gonna realize that you just drop all the frequencies. You just cutting down everything. You're not gonna get any further than that. What I would suggest you is to lower the amount that you send into that monitor, bring back your 31 band EQ, or just not use it at all. Because seriously, if you use more than 3 or 4, if you cut more than 3 or 4 feedback, you're not gonna get anything out of it. You're not gonna get much more out of it. So that's also the reason why I love to use parametric EQ, because I almost only use parametric EQ. Once you low cut something, once you high shelf, low shelf something, that's about it, man. You fix the difference in volume of the component of the speaker, and after that you're gonna seek for a couple of frequencies that are feedbacking. I don't want to go, the whole acoustic reason why some frequencies are bouncing inside the box that hold the speaker. When I say the speaker, I'm talking about the driver inside the wooden box or plastic box. And because of cubic amount of air in there, you're gonna have a frequency that's gonna roll up, and the harmonic on top of it and the harmonic on the bottom of it. I don't want to get into that because it's a thing, but you don't need to understand. You don't need to fully understand physics of sound just to cut a couple feedback. If you're interested in that, cool. Go study at university for a few years in acoustics. You're going to be a way better sound engineer than I am, apparently. So, just approach EQing monitor this way. You want to cut 1 or 2 feedback and Again, that's as far as you would go. The the EKX monitor, I've never worked with those. EV usually is doing really good product, so if you're approaching this the way that I just showed you, you should be fine. But also, I would say, if you have somebody that is only talking, I don't think you should have a monitor on stage if you are only talking out. So far, I'm gonna say lavalier, lapel mic, headset, they are not really made, or they were not really invented or made for a live environment. They were invented, especially lapel mic, they were invented for TV. And some people thought it was cool to do that live, but I call them feedback machine. If you have an Omni mic on a stage and you try to put that into monitor, it's going to be 100% recipe for feedback. You cannot get away with that. Some people are going to say, oh, I can tweak it until it doesn't feedback. Yes, it's going to sound like crap, and there is just no reason for that. Basically the main reason is a lot of people tend to speak at a quieter volume when they hear themselves into a monitor, if they're not used to that. So you're only gonna reduce your chance to have a greater volume from your speaker if you have too much monitor. Also, as a speaker, I'm someone who's done speech in room. I've talking to a podium probably more than a lot of you guys or a lot of a speaker done in their whole life, because I'm EQing podium all the time. Hearing the room, hearing how a room is reacting is a really good thing to understand as a speaker. If you have a podium mic right there, and you're talking to it, and you understand that your plosive or your the lower energy that you can send talking to it is really reflecting in the room, you can move the microphone around just a little bit and try to position yourself in a way where you're not gonna hear that big buh, buh in the room, and you're gonna sound more clear. You're gonna help the sound guy, basically. But that's next level, you know, understanding your environment and understanding how microphones are working to position yourself correctly to a mic, so you have a lot of definition, not too much bottom end, and that's next step. The best result that you can have in a situation like this is having a really well-tuned room, a really well-tuned PA, and somebody that understands the reflection of the room and not coming back from monitor, understand the reflection of the room and how to position themselves to the mic with that. So basically mic placement. If you can get all those elements together, you're gonna have a great time doing freaking conference with speaker, pastors, anybody. You're gonna have a good time with that. So that will be my approach to EQing monitor. I degrade it a lot. That will be my approach to EQ monitor. It will be the way to go, I believe. And out of those, EV, you can probably do exactly like I said, get 1 or 2, 3, maybe 4 feedback out of it, and that's as far as you're gonna go. After that, ask your speaker to speak louder. If you need more volume in the monitor, put the microphone to a better place, so closer to the mouth, not too close for the plosive, and you're gonna get better result, because the closer a microphone is to a source, the proximity effect will give you also more volume out of it. You're gonna get more energy out of it, because think about it, we're dealing with energy. When you're talking to a mic, you're emitting energy with your voice. The mic capture it, and we try to amplify that. So the closer you are, the better energy you have, and after that you move the mic around to EQ the tone out of it. Your best EQ is mic placement. Move that around and you're good to go. So all those elements together, you can definitely get a decent volume out of a monitor. Go back to DJ King Vic's question, following up on the drum bus question. What instrument would you not run in a bus? Personally, everything. The way that I approach mixing front of house and monitor and in-ear monitor, because this is mostly what I do, in-ear monitor. I'm still doing a lot of front of house too, but mostly nowadays, or in the last few years, I've been mixing more in-ear monitor than I've been front of house, but I've been mixing for 20 years front of house, so I guess I kind of know what I'm doing. Every channel strip should be independent. When you listen to a record, you hear every single individual parts as independent parts. I tend to mix my drum as individual instrument because, of course, the kick and the snare are separate things. It's the same person playing, but they sit at different spot in the mix. So what I tend to do is make my bass drum sounds really good and compressed the way I want. I make my snare sound really good and compressed the way I want by itself, and so on for every other drum part, bass, guitar, vocal. The only thing that I sometimes end up putting in a group or a bus is all the vocal and back vocal, because I like to have them compressing together. When you have a lead singer and the rest of the band, let's say you have 3 other voices or 5 other voices coming all together, I don't want that to jump much in volume. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set them in a bus, and I'm gonna set a compressor, let's say with all my vocal. I'm gonna set a compressor that when the lead singer is singing or talking into it, it doesn't do much or anything at all. And when the rest of the band jump in and sing, it's gonna compress, it's gonna add more compression, even sometimes going in like 8, 10, 12 dB compression, but it's gonna keep the volume at front of house the same, as if I had only one singer. I used to do that a lot when I had a band with 5 lead singer. It was like a boy band-ish here that we have in Quebec, which is called the Brothers. We have 5 lead singer, and they were alternating from one another, and it was too hard to follow. Like, even if you knew the show and which one's gonna go lead at which point, it was really hard to follow. So what I did is I threw all my 5 singer into a mono bus, because they're all lead, so I want them all to be front. Throw them all into a mono bus, had a compressor going, like when the quietest of the guy was singing, it was barely hitting the threshold, and when they were going all 5 together, it was just like compress a lot, and it kept all my 5 vocal at the same level. So it didn't matter if I had 1 or 5 guys singing at the same time. The lead vocal was there at the front, and they were compressing. It was getting maybe a little bit louder when they were all 5 singing together, but it was just like under control all the time. Only when they were singing more than one guy at a time. So it was like having my finger on the bus and just adjusting real quick what was going on for every single words that they were saying. But because I was using compressor for that, I could put my mind on getting ready for the guitar solo, getting ready for the keyboard solo, I could be mixing basically, instead of just like trying to get the vocal under control. Cody, I have a wing rack. I want to use a bus for my in-ear, but also run FOH. I'm trying to switch back and forth between mixes via matrix, but I can't seem to do that easily. What am I missing? Interesting question, Cody. If you are using a bus or a matrix on the wing for your in-ear monitor or your ears, the way that you send the signal to that is totally independent from the main. So on the main, you should get your gain, again, gain staging correct. After that, you create your mix for front of house, and then you select a channel, like we're gonna select that channel here. Just let me reset that EQ quickly, turn that off. We're gonna turn that off. I'm just gonna reset my stuff here. But basically, you take your signal, you take your channel, and it's gonna go along with what I was saying before. You take your channel, you make your channel right, so your insert, your gate, your EQ, your compression, and then you send it to the main by raising the fader, and after that you can send it into a bus. I would strongly suggest you to use a bus with a tap point to send into in-ear, or what you could do is click another time here on that section and enable that bus or enable that channel to be sent to a matrix. And after that, you're gonna take the output of that matrix to be sent out to your in-ear mixes, and you're gonna do that for all channel, and this is how you're gonna create your mix. You're gonna have that all pre-fader, so that way you can mix front of house and not affecting your in-ear mixes. You want, most of the time, you want everything in your in-ear mixes or your monitor mixes to be pre-fader. So on the wing, it's called tap point, and on the wing, you can select where in the signal chain you're gonna have your tap point. I will strongly suggest you to use not post fader. You want to go not really one, but you want to have your. Let me grab a channel that I haven't screwed around with. You have different tap point. You have 5 different tap point, or that I would suggest you to use for in-ear. You have the input, which is the raw signal. You have the filter, which is the low cut. You have after the gate, after the EQ, after the compression. If you compress a lot for front of house, I would suggest you to use tap point number 4, so you won't send any kind of compression in your in-ear. If you like to have compression in your in-ear, then use tap point number 5. I try not to do that for singers. To be honest, I try to have them uncompressed, so I just basically send after EQ for those. That way they can deal their dynamics in their ear. It's gonna help you have a more even mix at front of house, because a good singer is like the knows that he's loud and not loud, so he can adjust the microphone placement for you. And once you got that down, the singer in his ear is going to be uncompressed. He's going to have a good time singing and dealing with his dynamics. At front of house, you can add an EQ that's only going to affect front of house, and it's going to help you have your vocal setting right in the middle where you want it, like in the zone, and that compressor is going to help you to keep it there. That would be the way to go. It doesn't matter if you're using a bus or a matrix for this. It's the same tap point for everybody. Basically, on all channel of the Wing Compact, you select if you want to have your bus getting his information from the tap point, post fader, or as a group. As a group is exactly the same thing as a post fader with the fader at 0 dB. So be aware of that. But yeah, mostly you want to have tap point, and again, it doesn't matter if you're using a bus or a matrix, it's going to be the same thing. Can I swap between my in-ear, my EM mix, and FOH mix in my EM via a GPIO? I want to understand your question here. You want to listen to the front of house mix, but you also basically you want to listen to 2 things. You want to listen to front of house mix, and you want to listen to your in-ear mixes. So I'm gonna guess you're doing sound from the stage, and you want to listen to what you send out at front of house versus what you want to have in your mix to do your job as a musician. Can you confirm that? Because if you do, we're gonna have different way to do this. Correct. Okay. The way to do this, we have a couple options. Let's see where they're at now. That's gonna be here in solo. Is it the solo section? Is it called the solo section still? Basically, I selected the view button on top of the console next to the USB, and that's gonna give me this part here, this phone. Yeah, phone setting. This is the solo section. Come on, I'm tired. Maybe. Hold on, I'm gonna just make sure that this is all at 0. You're gonna have a couple options. You're gonna use the phone, so basically solo A, or what used to be called solo A. And you have a couple options. You can, in your phone, select what you're gonna hear all the time. By default, on your phone, if you don't solo anything, it's gonna show you, or it's gonna send you the main one, which is probably what you're using for front of house. You're probably wanna have something else in here. You have all these options, all the matrix, all the buses, and all the aux channel that you can listen to. In your situation, let's say that your in-ear mixes is on matrix 8. If this is your mix, by default now, by selecting the source for your headphone, if you don't solo anything, it's gonna make you listen to the matrix 8. By default, you change the no solo option of the console from being main 1 to matrix 8. That way, if you don't solo your main out, like I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna solo my main. Can you see that the console switch to main? My solo here light up. I'm gonna clear that out. If you don't solo that, if you don't solo your main 1, you're gonna listen to the matrix 8 by default. If you solo your main 1, you can solo what you have at front of house. Solo what you have in front of house will be whatever you're sending. You can solo clear or disable that, and you're gonna go back to your in-ear mixes. Now, is there a way to do this with GPIO? That's a really interesting question, and we're gonna take a look at that. GPIO, I have here GPIO 2 or 102, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna take a look at that. Is there any way to have solo? What are the solo options on this thing? Scene recall, fader, GPIO, other, maybe in the other channel page. Oh, channel solo. I think we may have the answer to your question here. What do we have? And I'm gonna use the knobs to make that happen. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, main 1. In the GPIO right now, and I don't have it on because I don't have any foot switch plugged on, but I'm pretty sure, and I'm gonna do it on a CC because it's still available here as a CC. I'm gonna use that CC here. I'm gonna go on top, channel solo. I'm gonna go main 1, solo main 1. Let's go back to this here. Right now I have nothing in solo, so by default, because we changed the phone setting to be matrix 8, or we could leave it at main 1 and do it the other way around. But let's say that we have, let's go back to matrix 8. Matrix 8 is by default your phone settings. If you are plugged in the back to anywhere that says solo A or phones, you're gonna hear matrix 8. If you press on that foot switch or that CC like I just did, I'm gonna turn that on. We have a blinking light. We are right now in solo on main 1, and I can see it from here. Guys, can you guys see it next to the, right there? I'm selected on channel 1, so by pressing that you can make that happen. So definitely the answer is yes, you can use a GPIO to change the solo that you are listening to. The two options for you would be to either leave it as main 1 as the default solo option, and instead of soloing main 1 like we did, you could solo your in-ear mix. You can have that on a foot switch, and you can also use that foot switch, the second one, to maybe close your effect. Have that set to a mute group, and you can mute your reverb in between song, and you can listen to your mix. Press on that to have either your mix or your solo, and you're gonna have a good time with that. So definitely can be done. Really interesting question. I like that, Cody. Thank you very much. I use the auto mix description answer and hope with open dreams. Funny. Hey, what's up, Kumar? Mr. Pawan Kumar. Good to see you, man. What is the cost for this compact wing that which you're using? This one is, I believe, $3,500 Canadian. So refer that to whatever country that you're in, because I know prices change a little bit depending on where you are in the world. So just be aware of that. But roughly, I believe it's $3,000 US, no, 2,500 US, 35 Canadian, and I don't know in euros, but somebody can probably put that in the chat for you. But look at your preferred store. If you are in Canada, good luck getting your hand on a compact. If you are anywhere in the world, apparently you guys all have compacts, except we don't here. I had to order this one from the US, from the lovely people at Alto Music. This is what I had to do to get my hand on a compact. Long and McQuaid really dropped the ball on the shipment from Behringer. Right now, they even actually. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Right now, Long and McQuaid is suggesting customer to buy a different brand than buying the Behringer stuff, because they cannot get their hand on it. I don't know what's going on. They complain about shipment and they give out shipping reasons, but I believe, tell me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I believe the wing compact and rack can be purchased pretty much anywhere in the world other than Canada right now. So yeah, really big ball drop here from Long and McQuaid, and I do not, I think it's very sad for me as a customer when you call in to buy something that you're recommended to get another brand. It's funny because the guy actually had no idea what he was talking about when I ordered my wing Dante card, not the wave card, not the Dante one, the wave card. I ordered the wave card because it was really affordable at Long and McQuaid, and the kid on the phone said, "Oh, it's for Behringer. Yeah, Behringer's going to be really hard to get. I suggest you to buy another brand." I had to explain to him that no, you cannot get another brand of wave card for the wing, because you can only use that card in the wing, and it has to be Behringer. But I would suggest to basically buy. He didn't say it this way, but he was like, "We have a lot of Allen and Neat in stock, so if you want to have Allen and Neat, we have that. But Behringer is really hard to get." I don't know, man. It's just what I was told. I don't know if they're working at commission and they just want to get some money real quickly. But let's say that if anybody from Behringer is listening to this, and you guys want to do a call as a customer, a couple Long and McQuaid, let's say that the salesmen there are suggesting you to buy another brand instead of purchasing Behringer. So I'm not gonna say. I don't think this is on purpose sabotage of the brand, but I'm gonna say it doesn't look really well, to be honest. All right, let's move on. Let's not get too political here. Pawan, some mix engineer set gain in a different way. Set gain to -18, or set gain according to PA, what is correct way? What is the correct way? I'm gonna tell you my personal opinion, and it's debatable. I like to have my channel set at -18, because no matter what I do, I know how strong of a signal I'm gonna have to deal with. I can predict some stuff. Hear me out. Let me play a virtual sound check here, or a virtual show. We're not gonna have sound, but we're gonna have at least playback. Let me build quickly. A virtual sound check. in my channel, alternate. They're all cards. It should be all playing correctly if I switch that around. Okay, let's go here, setup, audio, alternate. All of them. I want them all. All right. Let's take a look at my channels. The way that I set the gain is so that I can have everything set at -18. And for some reason, my snare is really loud here. I don't really know why. It should not be. Or maybe at the output. But on the channel itself, hold on, let me bring that down just a little bit. My snare is really loud. Oh, maybe my inputs on the snare is really loud. Okay, let's go back here. This is the VU meter for my stage box for my gain. Everything is about, except the snare for some reason on this one, everything is about the first yellow notch. The reason why I'm doing this is it doesn't matter if I'm doing front of house, it doesn't matter if I'm doing monitor, and it doesn't matter if I want to set that into a bus. I know that I'm going to get some decent volume to work with. The fact that you set your gain to -18 and you crank it up till you get -18, it's going to give you a guarantee that that level is going to be around there. So you can set your compressor, you can set your gain, you can set your gate, you can set your EQ, you can set your bass compressor like I'm having right now. And I know that I'm going to gain it up until it reaches the threshold of that 1176, or same thing for vocal, or same thing for anything. That's actually a way better view. Having a good gain structure is gonna help me get some decent signal out of everything. And when I say decent signal, I say decent signal to work with. See my buses right now, my bus 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom, those are my in-ear mixes for the band. Let me take a look at what I have here. I'm gonna tell you for sure. The first one is my guitar player, the second one is my lead singer, number 3 here is bass, and number 4 is drum, which is usually a little bit more dynamics because they like to have the kick and snare, and they do not get those compressed in their here. So it's usually tend to be a little bit more dynamic, but roughly that. The reason why I set my gain to -18 and I mix with the fader is it doesn't matter if I'm sending out front of house or monitor or effect, I'm never gonna run out of fader trying to do something. And that's the other thing that people most of the time get wrong. If you're mixing with all your fader at 0 and you adjust the gain to get whatever you want, if something is quiet like a guitar, you can, for a solo, for a moment, want to have that instrument really loud, and you're gonna push it, and you're not gonna have enough fader for you to do so. You go like, oh, okay. So you end up trying to push a guitar solo, and because the amp on stage is really loud, you're gonna arrive at the end of the fader and go like, oh man, I wish I could push that a little more. If you're doing it the other way around, if you have your band playing, all your fader doesn't really matter on a console how your faders are looking, but you have your guitar fader like I am right now. I have -8 dB. If I need to push on that guitar to have a solo, I'm gonna have a lot of control over it because my fader, having a fader at 0 is like having no effect on the signal. Right now I'm running my guitar at -8 to be at the right place in the mix. If I need to boost it for a solo, I can raise that fader to be roughly around 0. I just give 8 dB more of a level to that guitar. I have travel. I have travel space. Also something that needs to be considered. If you're doing like me, I'm basically doing it kind of like an hybrid method. I set my lead vocal at 0 dB, fader at 0, set my gain to be -18. I had my compressor and I run my vocal high in the mix. I set everything else that I want to be under, basically at lower levels. So my back vocal just a little bit under, my acoustic is the lead singer, I want that to be loud, I want my bass drum to be roughly at the same spot, and what I do is I take my main out and I shut it down. I'm building the mix on the console, and then I slowly raise the master volume, the master fader, not the master volume, the master fader, until I reach the volume that I want to get in the room. That way, I end up being in a situation where I have really good gain coming in. I can send stuff loud to effect, in-ear monitors, floor monitors, anything. I have a good decent amount of travel on my fader, because when I'm doing this by 5 dB on that snare, it's going to be noticeably loud, and I'm going to set the volume that I want in the room with my main. So if I need to run my main at -50 because the PA is way too freaking loud, I'm just going to leave my fader, my main at -50. It doesn't really matter. As long as you don't get into clipping, like as long as you don't go like getting this and having the main at +10, and now I'm clipping the send that I'm sending into the PA. As long as you're not clipping, you're okay. We're in the digital world. I'm not getting more background noise because I'm running my PA at -50 if it's loud enough. I'm just setting actually on the show before I moved it, I was about -20, and it was loud enough for that room. I had enough level to mix my in-ears, and I'm getting decent, looking at those VU meter, I know I'm getting a decent amount of energy to be sent into those in-ear. So proper gain structure at the input, send it to wherever I want. I can take any channel. I've done my wave transcend designer correctly the way I want it to be. I've done my EQ, I've done my compression, barely touching. I don't compress my bass drum too much, and I end up here with a lot of volume to work with, and I'm good to send that into in-ear monitors. And when the band's gonna try to mix their in-ear themselves, when the drummer is gonna try to mix himself, he's gonna have its bass drum maybe at, well, actually, let's take a look where its bass drum's at. Here, this bass drum is roughly at 0. He cranked the tom just a little bit. Can we see his mix? No, we cannot really see his mix on the screen. But my drummer has level to work with. If I want to change something, I have a decent amount of energy coming in to play around with. If you're doing that the other way around and you set your console at 0, your gain not modulating a lot, you're gonna get way more background noise because your console is open, fader all open, and you just barely give out gain. And you can definitely run out of travel and run out of aux send on something. If you want to send your reverb into your vocal into a reverb, you're gonna end up with that reverb open all the way up instead of running it at, I don't know, -18 or -21. Having a proper gain structure gonna make sure that you have the available energy to do what you want to do with that. Having the input adjusted to about -18 is also good for SD card recording. Yes, this is something else that you need to consider. If you are recording that show, you're not having a good gain structure, you're gonna give that to somebody and you're gonna go like, well, where's the recording? Like, everything's gonna be so tiny. You will need to crank everything in post to get a decent amount of level, because, and I've said that again, when we are working on a recording, on stuff that is recorded versus stuff that we mix live, you need the recording to be really damn loud. So yeah, dude, you need to have that crank to get a CD level or a mastered song level. So not crank your gain, but set your gain correctly. You can be a little higher, you can be a little lower depending on some stuff. If you have a back vocal, Maybe it's not going to be minus 18. Maybe it's going to be minus 21 average. And that's fine. But at least you get some level to work with. Your lead vocal, usually the ones that are usually a little higher on my VU meter are the kick. Usually it's closer to minus 12 right now, than 18. And the lead vocal, maybe I'm in a spot where I don't have anybody singing. There you go. Minus 6 is a lot, but average minus 12. I know I'm going to get a lot of energy to work with my lead vocal, and it's the most important channel of the show. The lead vocal is the most important channel of the show, especially when doing country music like I have right now. I need that level to be loud. In worst case scenario, I can turn it down, but I cannot create something that is not there. If I try to push that vocal because I'm not hearing it for a soft part of a song, if I push the fader all the way up and I don't have enough, there's nothing I can do. If I have that fader running around minus 10 dB, or hold on, let me go back out of that mix bus. My fader right now is roughly at 0 dB. It's okay if I'm running at minus 5 maybe, or minus 10. It's okay. As long as you have enough travel if needed. For a soft part, if I end up cranking that to plus 10 and I'm not getting enough volume, I'm screwed. I didn't do my job correctly. We didn't hear that part of most of the time what people are paying for. Most people, most of the time, come see the lead singer. They don't care about the band. So getting your gain set correctly is going to help you in every single situation. I've done both. When I was younger, I used to mix with fader at 0 and cranking the gain in the analog days, but I soon discovered real quick that if I'm doing that, I'm not getting enough volume to do anything else than having a mix, or you need to mix with the gain, and I used to do that. In those situations, you end up like having your lead vocal, your guitar solo, and you push the fader and you have to crank the gain up, so you end up in the same situation. So set your fader down, set your gain correctly to minus 18, minus 12. If you want to get a little hotter, minus 12. And after that, what's the loudest thing that you want to have in your mix? Your lead vocal. Set your lead vocal to 0. Bring your master up until you have a decent volume in the room. Bring back your bend under it, and you have a proper gain structure that also is going to help you not clipping your main out, because you will have your singer roughly at the level that you need to have. But when you build your mix is going to be roughly around minus 18, minus 12, and you just got to send the amount of that in the PA that you need. I hope that some of you guys understand that. I hope I answered your question. Okay, thank you. But man, I think the biggest mistake I've done in my career, mixing wise, is try to mix with my fader at 0 and not understanding why, or not being in control, because you're not that much in control when you're doing it the other way around. From Chris, how do you send effect return to other effects on this when it doesn't use a conventional send and return system? Example, putting some reverb on your delays and echo. Actually, I probably have done this on the show file. Let's take a look. We're gonna take a look at my buses. We're gonna go here. We're gonna go instrument, verb, or vocal. Let's go vocal, and we'll take a look here at the bottom what we have. Oh, my vocal is sending to my reverb is sending to the other bus, and also we're gonna take a look at the delay. Hey, look at that. My delay bus, which is the delay 16, is sending to other bus. On the Behringer wing, you can send a bus into a bus. You can send a bus into a matrix. This is exactly how I end up using the return to send my delay into reverb. I select my bus with that delay and I send it into reverb. The bus here, that's the confusing part. The bus here are acting as a send and return. And because you're using, it doesn't really matter if you're using the pre or post insert point on that bus, it's gonna give you the option to send that signal back into the reverb. If you want that signal to be, if you want that delay to be sent just into the reverb for some really roomy wide effect, you can just come here and disable that send from main 1. But again, we're gonna go like I was saying about gain structure on an input or on a bus. If you have a decent amount level coming in and you have a decent amount of level hitting your compressor, your insert, or your other insert, when you want to send that source, when you want to send that signal that you craft to a main or to an other bus, you're gonna have decent signal to work with. And I think that's the way any sound mixing engineer should approach mixing. Is you want to make sure that you have enough energy to work with, you craft that energy and you send it wherever that you want at the level that you want. But it should be, what you're sending should be perfect, meaning EQ wise, compression, gate. Take that, craft it, send it out to an in-ear monitor, send it out to a PA. It's gonna work. Thanks, just getting my head around this in the PC editor. It should be the same thing. It should be really close to what you have here. I'm gonna do a few more, and after that I'm gonna take a nap because I'm still tired from my vacation. Question about bus. How do you set an individual bus as a subgroup and not send source under bus and set it as a subgroup? Okay, exactly, really close to what we just did. We're gonna take a channel here. I'm gonna use that one that I'm not sending. It has no source, so it's okay. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not gonna destroy that, so I'm gonna go anywhere. By default, every single channel is gonna be enabled and send at 0 dB into the bus main 1. What you want to do to create a bus is you want to remove that channel from the main 1 and you want to go here into your bus setup. By default, we already have 2 groups. 9 and 10 are already groups, but you can change that. We're gonna go quickly. We're gonna turn bus 8 on this show file as a group. So to turn a bus into a pure group, we're gonna go here. We're gonna go here on channel. We're gonna select that, and we're gonna be on the bus config tab or bus config menu. We're gonna take that bus. We're gonna select all channel, or you can select whatever channel that you want to use. We're gonna turn into a group. We're gonna set it off because we don't want anything. We don't want everything to be on, or we could set that for having everything to be on in that group. We're gonna set it off. Pan, we're gonna set it to center because we don't want anything to be pan, or we can keep the information that we already have. Send off. Oh, it's the other way around. Ignore mute channel. We want that to be on, and we're gonna set the 0 dB. It's not gonna apply because it's gonna turn it into a group, but we can just keep it like this. So we can go apply, and we just turn bus 8 for all channel into a group. Now let's go back to our channel 31, 32, I believe, 32. We'll remove it from the main, and now we can go on the bus page, and on the bus page we can just enable that. That's gonna send signal out to our bus 8. Let's go back to our bus 8. We need to do one more thing before we leave. Now bus 8 is a group, but as you can see right now, by default, bus 8 is not going anywhere. It's not going into any matrix, because you can do that. You can bypass the main and just go to a matrix. Or what you can do is send it into a main. What we want to do now to keep it simple, we're just gonna send it into a main. So I send my bus 8 into main 1, and I send my channel 32, not in the main, only on into bus 8. So I just created a group and I just took channel 32 and bounce it into, or bus it into bus 8. After that, I took bus 8, let's go back again, and I send it into my main one. That's the signal flow. I hope that answered your question. The wing is 2,400 euros in Europe. Great. Sweetwater has positive stock. Good. Purchase it today and get it tomorrow. I have no affiliate links for you guys to buy a wing. Cody said I got my wing rack from Enderton in England, shipped to Canada. Shipping wasn't the cheapest price, but the wing, yeah, it took about 2 weeks. Yeah, no, it's a hard thing to get right now. Canada is really bad when it comes to Behringer anything. The wing, especially the rack and compact, has gotten real traction in Sweden lately. It's taking sale over the SQ and the QU. People here wants to buy it, but we can't. A lot of people told me that they had to buy a QU because they cannot get their hand on a wing compact. It's a bad thing. And I'm not gonna defend Laurent McQuaid for that. The answer that I got in my relationship with these guys so far have been not that good. I tried to open up the conversation with these guys when they became a dealer. I have a really good relationship with other distributor. Like, I'm not gonna name any name, but you guys saw my video. I have really good relationship with other distributor. I'm probably gonna have some more stuff coming on the channel eventually. Maybe the LV one. If you guys can do the math, you can definitely see what I'm talking about. But another distributor that's probably gonna open up this showroom for me. But Long & McQuaid basically told me that no, they're not interested to deal with my stuff, and they're especially not interested to help me promoting the Behringer wing in Canada or anywhere in the world. They just like, yeah, sure. Like, I tried to open up, the conversation to have better pricing on the wing here to basically help my friend, exactly like I'm gonna throw him under the bus, but Phil Charon, who just commented in there, we tried to buy in bulk from Long McQuaid to get some compact going to some sound company around here, because nobody is used to pay map price when you're a business to get console and stuff like that. So I tried to, be a delegate to talk to these guys. So the answer was like, yeah, we don't really want you to, well, they did not phrase it that way, but they were like, yeah, we don't really want you to be a reseller at greater price for you to make money on something that we sell. We're just going to tell you no and tell people to buy them themselves at full price. So, which isn't a fair business deal, but they don't want to help the brand. They don't have the infrastructure to help with the brand so far. So, yeah. Maybe it's going to change. I have hope for these guys, but so far, Long & McQuaid, not impressed. They're not really collaborative, and like I said, the last nail in the coffin was when they told me to buy another brand for a wing, for a wave card. Yeah, I think you should buy another brand, so that way, yeah. So yeah, nope, no go, no. Long & McQuaid and I are on a fine business relationship, but a little disappointed. Okay, we answered that. Thank you for my response on the question with the DP48 and the wave. The DP48? Did we talk about the DP48? Maybe I'm getting a little tired. I'm gonna go with my friend Phil. Last question. Salut Phil, j'espère que ça va bien. I'm gonna translate that in real time. Good afternoon, Guillaume. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody who's watching. I'm really liking my wing so far. I've ordered a rack last week and a DN4889 and a D84888 to expand to 32x16. Très bon choix. Très bon choix, mon cher Phil. I realized last week working on a session with band using Stage Connect, some information seems to be missing. I don't have digital in. There is no preamp. Il n'y a pas de préamp là-dessus, Phil. C'est juste des entrées line. Il n'y a pas de gain. There is no head amp control on the Stage Connect stuff. And I'm gonna have one. I have one right here. This is just line level stuff on the DN4888. You only have output and input on these, and those work only line level. It's made to have a preamp on the other end. You can use that with a lot of things. All the inputs can be used with anything that has a line output. So keyboard that have line output, guitar processor that have line output, wireless microphone. Basically anything that you don't need to give it some gain, like an SM58. You need to gain that up. But anything else that has a line output, you can connect that straight into the 4888 and you're good to go. Fait que Phil, un ampli de bass, un ampli de guitare ou des modelers de guitare, des sans fil, il n'y a pas de problème, tu peux brancher ça directement dans le DN4888, mais t'as pas de gain, t'as juste le trim. You only have digital trim available on these. There is no head amp control because they do not have head amp. They do not have preamp. This is just line level. This is great for a lot of things like creating inserts into a studio. You can daisy chain 2 of these together in a studio and get 16 of your favorite analog preamp or compressor connected to your wing. Great way to work with that stuff. The DN4888 is a great addition to the wing family. But yeah, that's the only sad thing about these is they do not have head amp control, because otherwise I would probably use a 24x8 setup for my stuff. But yeah. That's a bit of a loss. Could have been. It could maybe put some trem for it or preamp it. Yeah, no. But that's the thing. They want to have something that is really affordable, and because they want to have something that is really affordable, just to enable in and out. Because that's the thing. You want to have. You need to have some kind of option to get in and out line level. Like on the big one, you have 8 line level in, 8 line level out. Also, a great way to use these things is take a DN4888, put that into a rack. You have 4 stereo in-ear mixes available, and you have, you know, all your wireless in between your wing and your device. You only need to run a single XLR. That's a great way to interconnect racks together. But that's the reason why it's only line level, because it was taught for studio use, for insert into rack to enable quick connection between racks. You can have a full-on wireless rig. You can have 8 stereo mixes, 6 out. Just go with the DN4816O and just run one cable between your in-ear rack and your console, and you can daisy chain from that one to your wireless mic, and you can have 8 extra other wireless mic with a DN4888 in the other rack, and just call it a day. And all you need to do to pre-patch those rack is 2 XLR, 2 run-of-the-mill single XLR that you connect next to your console. So yeah, any kind of line input, just have my experience with, good to know. It's fairly easy. The DL8 is also a good alternative if you need to have head amp control. Where's my DL8? It's probably somewhere else. I don't have it around here. But yeah, DL8 is also a great stage box to have. I love it. I love the idea with the Hub 4 Pro. Now that I understand how everything is working, probably a video on that later. Yeah, definitely a good option, the DL8. I'm thinking about setting up a band now with DL8. Everybody has this DL8. I just run one cable from the Hub 4 Pro to it, click, and everybody would be happy with that. So I'm thinking about that. Maybe in the future I would do something like this. So all right, it's been almost 2 hour, man. My phone is probably ringing right now because I just come back from vacation and I have a lot of email to go through and everything. So I'm gonna, if you are a friend of mine and you're waiting for a call back, hi, I'm gonna call you back in a few minutes. Guys, thank you very much for being part of this live stream. You guys have no idea how much I appreciate doing this. Merci Guillaume pour tes conseils de la Suisse. Bonjour de la Suisse, bonjour du Canada. Great job, boss. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of this live stream. This community is great. I love that not even myself, but together we make it something that is bigger than myself. Together we make it something that is bigger than yourself. As a community, we answer each other and we help out. And again, feel free to ask any kind of question. I'm never gonna laugh at anyone here for asking. Bonne soirée. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, anywhere you are in the world. See you guys next week. I'm going to be there next week. See you guys next week.